Austria confirms fighter jet scrambles against U.S. military aircraft. Austria scrambled Eurofighter jets twice in 2 consecutive days after U.S. military aircraft entered Austrian airspace without proper clearance, the Austrian Ministry of Defence confirmed. Austrian Ministry of Defence spokesperson Michael Bauer confirmed both incidents, publicly posting on X that the first interception involved a Priority A alert and the deployment of 2 Eurofighters after 2 U.S. Air Force PC-12 aircraft crossed into Austrian airspace at 12:31 on Sunday for the purpose of identification, in his words. The PC-12, known in U.S. Air Force service as the U-28A, is a single-engine turboprop surveillance and special operations support aircraft operated by U.S. Air Force Special Operations Command Small Quiet and capable of operating from short or unprepared airstrips. The U-28A is used for intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance missions in support of Special Operations Forces, making its appearance in unauthorized airspace over the Austrian Alps a more operationally consequential incident than a simple navigation error by a conventional transport aircraft would suggest. The incident unfolded over the Totes Gebirge region of Upper Austria, remote alpine area in the Austrian interior. According to Bauer, the 2 PC-12s were operating in the region without the required permissions when Austrian Eurofighters intercepted them. The American aircraft turned away and returned to Munich following the interception. The following Monday, the scenario repeated. 2 more U.S. Air Force PC-12s were discovered in Austrian airspace, prompting another Eurofighter scramble for identification. Whether the Monday aircraft carried the necessary clearances remained unclear at the time of Bauer's statement, in contrast to the Sunday incident where the absence of authorization was confirmed per the spokesperson's account. Austria occupies a constitutionally unique position in European security architecture. The country declared permanent neutrality in 1955 as a condition of the State Treaty that ended the post-World War II Allied occupation, and that neutrality includes strict sovereignty over its airspace. Austria is not a NATO member, although it participates in the Partnership for Peace program and has observer status in various NATO activities. Its Eurofighter fleet, acquired in a politically controversial procurement in the early 2000s, exists specifically to police that neutral airspace and respond to incursions, whether from adversaries or, as in this case, from allied nations whose aircraft enter without clearance. A Priority A alert, the designation Bauer used in his post, represents the highest urgency level in Austrian air defense response protocols. The U-28 as operational profile makes the geographic context worth examining. The aircraft is operated by the 319th Special Operations Squadron and other U.S. Air Force Special Operations Command units, primarily for persistent surveillance in support of ground operations. Its relatively small radar cross-sectioned turboprop power plant and ability to loiter for extended periods make it useful for covert or low-profile surveillance missions. The Totes Gebirge, the Dead Mountains of Upper Austria, is an isolated alpine plateau with limited population and road access, making it terrain that surveillance aircraft might overfly during operations in the broader Central European region. What specific mission the PC-12s were conducting, whether they were en route to or from an operational area, or whether the airspace violations were navigational errors or deliberate, remains unconfirmed in the available source material. The consequences of the incidents are being handled through diplomatic channels. Bauer confirmed to Swiss news portal 20 Minuten, which reported on the incidents. The Austrian military has left open what specific consequences the violations will produce, with the spokesperson indicating the matter will be resolved between governments rather than through unilateral Austrian action. The Swiss portal also reported that no violations of Swiss airspace by U.S. military aircraft had occurred recently, noting that 9 authorized U.S. Air Force overflights of Switzerland had taken place in the 3 days surrounding the Austrian incidents, a detail that underscores that proper clearance procedures exist and were being followed in the neighboring country's airspace during the same period.